Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the most pivotal battles in history, exploring the strategic context, operational art, and human cost of war. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to examine one of the most crucial conflicts of the American Revolutionary War, the Battle of Princeton, fought on January 3, 1777. The Continental Army, led by General George Washington, had just suffered a series of defeats in New York, and morale was at an all-time low. The British Army, under the command of General William Howe and his brother Admiral Richard Howe, had occupied key cities and towns, including Trenton and Princeton. The stage was set for a decisive confrontation that would determine the fate of the American colonies. To understand the origins of the Battle of Princeton, we must go back to the summer of 1776, when the Continental Army was formed and the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4, 1776. This pivotal document, adopted by the Continental Congress, marked a formal declaration of independence from Great Britain and paved the way for the long and bloody conflict that would follow. As the war unfolded, Washington's army suffered a series of setbacks, including the Battle of Long Island in August 1776 and the Battle of Fort Washington in November 1776. These defeats forced Washington to retreat across New Jersey, with the British Army in hot pursuit. The Continental Army's morale was at a low point, and it seemed that all might be lost. However, Washington's leadership and strategic thinking would soon turn the tide of the war. On December 25, 1776, Washington's army launched a daring raid across the icy Delaware River, catching the Hessian forces off guard and securing a crucial victory at the Battle of Trenton. This triumph boosted morale and demonstrated that the Continental Army was still a force to be reckoned with. In the aftermath of Trenton, Washington's army clashed with Hessian troops at the Battle of Assunpink Creek, also known as the Second Battle of Trenton, on January 2, 1777. Although the Continental Army held off the British attack, they knew that General Charles Cornwallis would return with a larger force. Washington's army began to march towards Princeton, hoping to capture the town and its strategic road junction before the British could react. The key figures involved in the development of the Battle of Princeton were not only the military commanders, but also the local residents who provided crucial intelligence and support to Washington's army. Men like Colonel John Hazlitt, who led the 1st Delaware Regiment, and General Hugh Mercer, who commanded a brigade of troops, played important roles in the battle's outcome. The terrain itself also played a significant role, as the frozen ground and snow-covered fields made every step a struggle for both armies. As the two armies faced off, the stakes were high. The British had occupied key cities and towns, including Trenton and Princeton, and it seemed that all might be lost for the American colonies. However, Washington's leadership and strategic thinking would soon turn the tide of the war. On January 3, 1777, Washington's army launched a daring attack on the British forces stationed in Princeton, hoping to capture the town and its strategic road junction. The battle was fierce and bloody, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Continental Army, however, held the upper hand thanks to their superior tactics and knowledge of the terrain. General Hugh Mercer's brigade played a crucial role in the battle as they engaged British forces on the outskirts of Princeton. As the battle raged on, Washington's army began to push the British back, slowly but surely. The Continental Army's artillery played a key role in the battle as they pounded British positions with cannon fire. The British, however, refused to give up, and the fighting continued for several hours. In the end, it was Washington's strategic thinking that won the day, as he outmaneuvered Cornwallis and forced the British to retreat. The Battle of Princeton was a decisive victory for the Continental Army, and it marked a turning point in the war. As Washington himself noted, the Battle of Princeton was a glorious victory, and it has given us a most signal advantage over the enemy. The victory boosted morale and demonstrated that the Continental Army was a force to be reckoned with. As we explore this pivotal moment in American history, it's worth noting the significant role played by local residents. Men like Thomas Clark, a Princeton resident who provided crucial intelligence to Washington's army, helped turn the tide of the battle. The terrain itself also played a significant role, as the frozen ground and snow-covered fields made every step a struggle for both armies. The human cost of the Battle of Princeton was high, with over 400 British soldiers killed or wounded and over 100 American soldiers killed or wounded. Despite these losses, the Continental Army emerged victorious, and the battle marked a significant shift in momentum in favor of the Americans. The British retreat from Princeton marked a significant shift in momentum in favor of the Americans. The Continental Army's victory boosted morale and demonstrated that they could stand against the British Army. As Washington's army marched through New Jersey, they were greeted as heroes, with local residents cheering them on and providing support. However, the British did not give up easily. General Charles Cornwallis regrouped his forces and launched a series of counterattacks, hoping to drive the Americans back. But Washington's army was ready, and they held their ground against the British onslaught. The Continental Army's defense of New Jersey marked a crucial turning point in the war, as it prevented the British from gaining control of the state and its strategic ports. The Battle of Princeton also had significant implications for the French, who were considering an alliance with the Americans. The French were impressed by the American victory, and it helped to persuade them to provide financial and military aid to the Continental Army. This alliance would prove crucial in the coming years, as the French provided significant support to the Americans, including troops, supplies, and naval power. As we look at the aftermath of the Battle of Princeton, it's worth noting the significant role played by local residents. Men like Thomas Clark, who provided crucial intelligence to Washington's army, helped turn the tide of the battle. The terrain itself also played a significant role, as the frozen ground and snow-covered fields made every step a struggle for both armies. The human cost of the Battle of Princeton was high, with over 400 British soldiers killed or wounded, and over 100 American soldiers killed or wounded. Despite these losses, the Continental Army emerged victorious, and the battle marked a significant shift in momentum in favor of the Americans. In the years following the Battle of Princeton, the Continental Army continued to face significant challenges. They suffered setbacks at the hands of the British, including the defeat at Brandywine Creek in September 1777. However, they also achieved significant victories, including the Battle of Saratoga in October 1777, which convinced the French to ally themselves with the Americans. Today, the Battle of Princeton is remembered as a pivotal moment in American history. It marked a turning point in the war, as the Continental Army demonstrated that they could stand against the British Army. The battle also highlighted the significant role played by local residents and the terrain itself, which helped to turn the tide of the battle. The battle marked a significant shift in momentum in favor of the Americans, and it helped to persuade the French to ally themselves with the Continental Army. It also demonstrated the bravery and determination of the American people, who were willing to fight for their freedom and independence. The Battle of Princeton is still remembered today, with annual reenactments and commemorations taking place in New Jersey. The battlefields have been preserved, and visitors can walk through the same terrain that Washington's army marched through over 2 centuries ago. In conclusion, the Battle of Princeton was a pivotal moment in American history, marking a turning point in the war and demonstrating the bravery and determination of the American people. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Battle of Princeton, and I hope that you have gained a deeper understanding of this significant event in American history. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.